Hello lovely people, how are you all doing? I hope you're well. Oh, what a pickle of a time. Yeah, it's been 2 weeks since I put a video out. Just want to say, first and foremost, two things actually. Yeah, I'm okay, we're going to come on to all of that. Thank you so much for all your messages, and both via sort of YouTube, on my Facebook page, all of that. Thank you so much. I think I've answered everybody now. I'm just going to say from the outset, I'm really sorry for causing concern. I certainly didn't mean to by going quiet suddenly. The thing is, I was really quite poorly. I ended up in hospital, as you know, and the very, very last thing on my mind, I mean, it just wasn't even on my radar at all, but the last thing on my mind while I was in hospital was the thought of taking selfies and uploading selfies to say, oh, look how ill I am in hospital, or just doing any kind of social media update. I was poorly. I was in hospital, being looked after. I was there to get better, not to be on social media. It does my nut. I've seen this over the years with other people. They're all over their social media. You know, they go to hospital for half an hour. They're all over social media. Look, 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 creating drama, trying to create interest in themselves. And I just think, you know what, if you're ill, what are you doing on get off social media. If you're all over social media, you ain't that ill. Anyway, so yeah, I didn't mean to worry or, you know, kind of stir up worry by my absence. My absence was because I was too poorly to be bothering about it all. But also, when I'm in hospital, I didn't have my computer with me. I didn't have my camera with me. I don't have a smartphone. I don't have any way of uploading to the internet. So I was completely cut off from the world of social media while I was in hospital. And frankly, it was great. It was so great. Now, just to say, I'm probably going to be slugging quite a bit during this video. And it's possible I may still have a bit of a cough or a bit of a sneeze. You know, we haven't had some sort of miracle wand being waved where I'm completely fixed. I'm going really, really slowly. I'm being really sensible. I've been home a few days, but even so, I haven't even thought about turning the camera on. I've just been really, really focused on health and rest, and I'll tell you about all of that in a second too, sort of my plan. And also I think today my thoughts might be a little bit all over the place. I've really gone into a much kind of a slower way of being, more slow, more gentle, more quiet. And I think with that, my brain might have got a bit lazy too. So, yeah. The vast majority of you will know by now because I did answer some comments on YouTube at the weekend, and I put a little announcement on my Facebook page at the weekend, just sort of allay fears and stuff. I ended up in hospital. I had been under a doctor. Oh my goodness, it's so bright. Isn't it lovely at this time of year when we get one of those really, really, it's kind of blinding bright. It's actually the sun. Where is the sun? It's kind of over here, this way, but it's coming in, it's bouncing off that window and reflecting onto me. Anyway, yeah, it's a joy to see such brightness. Train of thought. Oh yeah. So I'd been under a doctor since, I think it was like the 3rd of January. I really, really hate the surgery I'm with. I'd like to move, but none of the other surgeries around are taking any of us from that surgery, because if you've got a doctor, other surgeries are only taking people who are new to the area, who don't have a doctor at all. And I kind of get that. But you know, there are thousands of us at that surgery who want to leave because it's so bad. This doctors are still not doing, every other surgery around me, the doctors are doing face-to-face consultations again. You know, this was a chest issue. How can you possibly diagnose a chest without even listening to it? Anyway, right, one of my, I've kind of made, this is going to be a bit all around the place today, forgive me. Normally I do manage to come back to my point, and I will try to do that today. I haven't made New Year's resolutions, but I've kind of made hospital resolutions. It's given me time to think. Anyway, yeah, so I've been under a doctor for a while, never the same doctor either. So I think I'd had 3 phone consultations, each one a week apart. You know, have a course of antibiotics for a week, or carry on with the same antibiotics for another week. They're not working, try a different antibiotic. How about you see me? Oh yeah, that's what I was going to say. I told you I was going to drift all over. I feel really angry actually about this surgery and the way they're practicing. However, I'm really aware that that lately, and when I say lately, maybe in the last sort of 2 or 3 years or so, I keep getting really angry about things, like really angry about things. It could be anything, like the doctor's surgery, you know, an environmental disaster that's happening, hearing someone lying. I can't bear liars. Anyway, this kind of, all these feelings of anger, and then it's no good for me. It's not good for me. That kind of holistic picture of my health, that kind of anger / stress, the hormones that pumps out into my body are so damaging, and they kind of undermine my constitution all the time. They're continually undermining me. So yeah, when I feel that kind of anger stuff rising, I'm trying to nip it in the bud, and just be chilled. I don't know how long I'll keep this up, but I'm trying. Anyway, so I've been with, you know, 3 different doctors, another different antibiotic, and then I had also, because I wasn't being seen by a doctor, now I'd made the decision, well, I'm going to be my own doctor, my own nurse. Anyway, so a couple of times a day in those last few days, I was checking my heart rate, checking my blood pressure. I've got my old blood pressure cuff from when I was a nurse, my old stethoscope. I was listening. It's kind of hard to listen to your own chest though, because yeah, it is really hard, but I was just listening to all the different lobes of my lungs, making sure I had good air entry in each lobe. And, you know, I could hear the horrible noises. My lungs were a mess, and I could hear, in this kind of upper area, I could hear the noises even without my stethoscope. So I was hyper aware that this wasn't a good picture. It was a couple of days after that last video, and then it was really bad one night, and it was so bad it actually frightened me. I was really struggling to breathe. I was coughing so hard, just non-stop coughing, which is exhausting. Hadn't had sleep for nights and nights on end because of this coughing, struggling to breathe, and I thought, that's it. I'm going to hospital. I'm taking myself to the hospital. You know, the body, my heart rate and my blood pressure had been through the roof for 2 or 3 days. My body was fighting and working so hard. It was going so hard trying to, you know, keep itself going. And, you know, I know from being a nurse that there comes a point where the body gets exhausted and all those numbers that are through the roof suddenly go through the floor. And I'm not waiting until Monday morning to phone a GP who isn't even going to see me. I'm just going to go straight to hospital. So I did. The thing is, because I don't want a fuss, I don't want to make a fuss, I decided I would go on the bus. can I just say, if ever you're in that sort of position, please get someone to drive you or get an ambulance. I didn't want to bother the ambulance crews because they're really busy. I got myself to the hospital in the nick of time. I pretty much keeled over when I got there. So straight into resus, brilliant. They started working on me. I'm fine. I'm really fine, honestly. And, you know, for me, it was kind of this wonderful moment in a way of, it's partly my personality, partly because I live here on my own. It's that thing of always being in control, being like super in control. That moment of being taken into resus and just relinquishing, just giving up control, I don't mean giving up as in like, oh, I don't have the will to live. I don't mean that kind of giving up. I just mean giving up in terms of, okay, you've got me now. I'm in safe hands. That's what it was. I was in safe hands, so I could just completely go out for things, what have you. Anyway, they took great care of me, great care, and I absolutely knew I wasn't coming home anytime soon. So when I went, so I don't know how I had the forethought, I haven't got words. I don't know how I managed to pack a bag and get the bus to hospital, knowing what happened within minutes of me going to the hospital. I went blue, but yeah, I packed a bag. I remember to pack a bag with knickers, pyjamas, some toiletries and 2 books. I grabbed 2 books from my nightstand. Anyway, so yeah, they were great, amazing staff. I was in, you know, right from the emergency room right through to being on the ward, the doctors, nurses, healthcare assistants, they were all brilliant. The first 36 hours or so was horrible, but I really started to notice a big difference. I noticed a big difference after about 24 hours. After 36 hours, it was like, ooh, yeah, starting to feel like a human being again, yay! I kept thinking I'd be going home that day, and they, in the morning rounds, they'd like, we think we can send you home today. And then later that afternoon, they'd come back and say, nah, your numbers are all a bit naughty still. So a lot of I was having lots of blood work done, of course, what we call inflammatory markers. There were a lot of markers, my inflammatory markers were through the roof. There is another, I won't go into too many details, but the point is, yeah, they took good care of me. I've come home and I'm taking care of myself now. Some of this is ongoing. So everyone's been saying, what was it? What is it? Was it pneumonia? Was it pneumonia? Was it pneumonitis? Was it this? Was it that? Was it bacterial? Was it viral? Was it COVID? Was it this? So throughout this whole time, I've been testing negative for COVID, lateral flow and PCR tests. It does look like there has been some viral activity. Basically, you name it, it has been going on. So it's quite complicated, it's quite complex. But yeah, it looks like pretty much a little bit of everything. And some of it's been going on for a while, and some of it is much more recent and more acute. That's when I went into that acute phase. It's possible that there may, obviously it's all to do with my lungs, it's all to do with the vitamin D. That vitamin D has reared its ugly head again. Vitamin D is very closely associated with lung health, so it's not surprising that, you know, to find out the vitamin D is to do with the flora again. We're on that again. So, excuse me. So there'll be some ongoing work to do, some ongoing tests and some more prodding and poking. It may be that all of this, because It may be that there's a little bit of long-term scarring that may have happened. In other words, I was functioning with about 1/3 of my lungs. So one of the things I'm doing at home, I'm doing a lot of lung exercises, trying to improve my lung function again. Yeah, sorry, my mind's a bit drifty, isn't it? Long term, you know, it's all a bit up in the air at the moment. There will be other, like I said, there's going to be some more prodding and poking and more checks, and I'm under a whole raft of different people at the hospital now. The great thing about this is now, of course, I'm on the radar for all these specialists at the hospital, which is great. So there will be checkups, there'll be follow-ups. That will happen, unlike with my GPs who don't even follow up. You know, it's like, how can you prescribe something and not follow up, not get in touch with the patient a week later to see if that medication worked? It's anathema to me. It just doesn't make sense. Anyway, don't get angry. So, right, I'm just going to fill up my water because I want to talk about my big revelation. It's nothing exciting, but it was a bit of a revelation. That's better. So I was just saying about that thing of arriving in A&E and just sort of collapsing, giving myself over, giving control over. This might sound a bit odd, but, you know, I can say it now because I feel so much better. I'm not completely well, but I'm so much better. I'm actually really glad this happened. I know, what are you talking about, Vivi? It wasn't nice to be frightened. I was frightened for a moment, briefly. But also sort of knew that I would get myself the help I needed. But otherwise, yeah, I'm really glad it happened. And it's partly that kind of relinquishing of control. This whole thing, it was in a I can't speak, a real abrupt halt. It was it's just like literally everything stopped, everything. Apart from my heart kept going. I'm kidding. Yeah, everything, you know, my entire life, everything I do stopped. All that was going on was my body. I just became a body that needed help and needed to, you know, get better. So I'm glad of that because it sort of gave me time to reflect, gave me time to just sort of have perspective on things. Now, one of the things in hospital is actually quite regimented. It's way more regimented than my life here at home, way more routine. And I just got a couple of notes I didn't want to forget. Routine, it is something I've spoken about quite often, that, you know, on the one hand, I'm really glad that I can be so flexible with my time that, for example, you know, if I was working Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Saturday, Sunday, and I only had Thursday and Friday off when I could do the garden, and on Thursday and Friday it's chucking with rain, oh, how annoying, I can't do the garden. The way my life is now, of course, I can flex my time around, so I can say, okay, well, I'll do the garden Monday and Tuesday instead and do something else on Thursday and Friday. You know, it is really flexible. That's great. But the downside of being so flexible is that there is no routine. There's just no routine. I've tried a couple of times, I've been aware of that, and I've tried a couple of times in the past to maybe try to sort of impose it. It just hasn't worked. But I'm hoping this little break has given me the chance to really appreciate what it is about routine that I'm lacking, or, you know, how I can maybe put it in, if that makes sense. So, for example, literally every hour in hospital, something is happening to me, for me. So it might, and through the night. It's funny actually, because every hour feels so much longer in hospital, doesn't it? Because I think it's partly because we're aware of all 24 of the hours, because all through the night things are still happening, things are still going on. So for instance, you know, at 6 in the morning it might be, oh, it's time to do my obs. At 7 in the morning it's time to take some drugs, or it's, you know, I'm having them intravenously, but you can feel it going in, so even if I've drifted back to sleep, it wakes me up because I can feel them going in, and more obs. And then at 8 o'clock it's more obs, and I might be doing my lung function work, and then at 9 o'clock it's breakfast, and then at 10 o'clock it's some inhaled drugs and more lung work, and obs, obs every hour. So there's sort of always, at each hour there's something happening. Drugs, obs, food, tests, physio work, whatever it is. And I kind of liked it because, so for instance, the food, this is crazy. Breakfast was at 9, which is quite late for breakfast, I think. Lunch is at 12, so just 3 hours later, and then supper was at 5. So meals are between 9 and 5, and that's it. So, because I'm a real evening eater, but I really started to enjoy having 3 meals a day at set times. I really enjoyed the fact that someone else made the food and did the washing up. Oh my goodness. I can't tell, you know, that really did strike me while I was there, about how, this is going to sound really daft, really, really daft, but it's kind of like a bit of a stress. Listen, I know, get everything in perspective. I'm not making a song and dance, I'm not a drama queen, but just that thing of having someone else cook food for me was huge. When you're cooking your own meal twice a day, every day, when you're the cook and the washer-upper it's exhausting. And I know there's other people who live on their own who say, oh, I prepare my own food too. But I'm talking about, there's never any takeaway food in there. There's never food that, like ready-made food from the shop that I'm bringing, that I'm just heating up. This is, anyway, yeah, it made me realise how exhausted I am from just cooking and feeding myself. I know it sounds ridiculous, but yeah, try it for a couple of months where you don't buy any food that's pre-prepared. Nothing is pre-prepared. You're just buying raw ingredients. It does get tiring. Anyway, obviously I need to do more by way of advanced cooking, in order that there are days when I'm having meals out of the freezer that I prepared myself. That habit had gone out of the wayside. I'm reintroducing it. So yeah, this definitely sort of regime, routine, discipline in the hospital. And I got to really like it, because I'd think, you know, between 3 and 5, I had, at 4 o'clock I had intravenous drugs, but I could kind of pretty much ignore it. I didn't have any oral drugs. I didn't have any nebulized drugs, which is, you know, drugs which you're sort of breathing in through a mask on the face. I basically didn't have anything to do that involved kind of like my face and head, so I could have a little nap. I could read between 3 and 5. It was like, oh, 3 and 5, that's my nap or reading time. Yeah, so I'm trying to bring a little bit of that home with me. And the other thing, oh my goodness, I'm sorry, this is all over the place, isn't it? Right, 2 things. It'll probably end up being 3 things or 4 things. 1, routine and discipline. Loved it, need it, trying to bring some of it home with me. I'll explain how in a second. 2, completely offline. The first 36 hours or so, I didn't even read. I was not up to it. I was utterly exhausted. I was proper down. But then when I did start to feel a bit better, sitting up a bit more, reading, great. But no media of any description. I didn't have a telly whilst I was there, so no news, nothing. And that was one of the biggest reliefs to me of all, was being quiet, being really, really quiet. Not just like that physical quiet of the noise of TV or whatever, but the mental quiet of not having it coming in. I was kind of really highly aware of that quite quickly. Excuse me. And it's something I've mentioned before, those times when I've been down at Auntie Teapot's for 2 or 3 days and I don't have Wi-Fi, don't have the internet, don't have my computer with me. One of the reasons I've loved those times is because I'm just quiet and cut off. So one of the first things I did when I came home was just deleted a load of stuff off my computer. Some various types of social media. Now listen, I'm not having to go completely at social media. I'm using social media for this. There's a lot of social media that is great, that I love. I've got a few friends who I keep up with say their YouTube channels. I've got friends who, it's my phone, live outside of the UK, and it's a great way to keep up with them. But generally, I just feel like every time I turn the computer on, I'm using Facebook for my own little Vivi's Kitchen Garden page, but outside of Vivi's Kitchen Garden, I've ditched Facebook, because literally every time I turn the computer on, there's just people streaming their misery and frankly being babies. They need to put their big girl pants on and stop being such babies. People are like, my life's terrible, life's awful, and you think, it really isn't. Anyway, that's going a bit neggy. I wanted to get rid of negative influences. It's that toxicity, isn't it, that comes in. So yeah, got home, just deleted a load of stuff from the computer. It felt great. Where I can't delete, like my own Facebook, I can't delete it because I need it to come into my Vivi's Kitchen Garden page. But the other one is just, don't look. I turn it on, keep my face turned away, go straight into Vivi's Kitchen Garden. Don't look at all the misery worts and the drama queens and the attention seekers. Ignore them all. So that's that kind of quiet that I had at hospital. That's what I've tried to bring home with me, the brain quiet. And in terms of the sort of the structure and the discipline of the day, I'm sticking to 3 meals a day, including breakfast. Me with breakfast, who knew it? But just changing things up so that I've basically slowed everything down, everything's more gentle. Now, it may be that in a couple of months I'm fighting fit, raring to go, and I become all chaotic and noisy again. I don't know. But for now I'm definitely trying to be quiet. So for instance, when I wake up at 7, normally what I would do is I'd get out of bed, I'd go straight on the computer, I'd start working, social media, do all that kind of stuff, be looking at my clock, be looking at my lists. So I'm on social media, I'm looking at my lists, what am I doing in the garden today? I'm already in that kind of, wow. Hang on, let's calm down again. So now, when I wake up, my lovely dude, this has had to be through the wash twice since I first put it on, but it's so cheerful, isn't it? I've had it washed, dried, straight back on because I love it. So wake up at 7, sit up, just sit there, literally sit for 15 minutes. I do nothing, just wake up. listen, look, smell, breathe, whatever. But that's it, 15 minutes of nothing. That's quite hard for me, but I'm loving it. And that sort of gradually brings me up into the day without sort of, I don't know, running like I'm running into a brick wall of a day. It's like, it's coming to meet me. It's me and the day. We're gradually, slowly meeting each other in a gentle kiss. Hello. So after I've had my 15 minutes of nothing, then I sit there another 15 minutes and I've got, oh, they're not there now because I refill it for tomorrow morning. I've got a number of drugs I'm taking now. Hopefully they won't be for the rest of my life. Some of them may be, but I'm still on quite a few drugs. So I've got my drugs there. I do my lung function exercises. So 15 minutes or so, get my drugs down me, do my lung function exercises, do my lung function test, and then go and chart it. One of my pin boards in the kitchen, I've given up completely to my health. So I've got little reminders on there of when I need my next appointment and I need to chase it. I'm not leaving my health in the hands of my GP anymore. I'm chasing everything for myself. But I've got a chart on there which I fill in for my lung function, and by then it's sort of like 7:30, 8:15, and I feel really, I'm awake, I feel calm, I feel happy, I feel ready to start my day. So much better. So yeah, that's just one little way. Sorry, this is going to be a really meandering long video otherwise, but I really wanted to catch up anyway. Yeah, just one of the ways that I'm kind of saying, actually, being in hospital was great. It was a great thing. And being Pollyanna, it really was a great thing to have happened to me. It's given me the time and space I needed away from everything to reevaluate and say, you know what, such and such, that just is not important. I'm not going to give it any more attention. I'm not going to spend precious moments, hours of my day, of my life. I'm not going to waste it on other people and whatever, social media and all that kind of stuff. I'm going to give myself 3 nice meals each day. I'm going to look after my nutrition, get right back on with that. I'm going to give myself a decent time to go to bed, so hopefully get a decent amount of sleep. I'm keeping a sleep diary at the moment as well because my sleep isn't great. So at the moment I'm just keeping a sleep diary without making any changes, and then I'm going to try and make some changes to see if that improves my sleep. The bottom line is, what's happened is, I've said to myself, now obviously I have to get back to work. I've got bills to pay, so I'm going to be getting back into making videos. I think after this one I'm going to make a video about books because I've been reading, and amazingly there's one which I didn't finish. That rarely to never happens. I hated it. So that'll be fun to talk about. Yeah, so I do need to get back into the swing of things by way of work, as in making videos. I did put some shop stock in the shop the other day. The sewing machine is, oh, you can't quite see it. Look, sewing machine is out. Ready to, I've got some projects to start. But I'm not going to go headlong into things like I was doing previously. I'm remembering why I wanted to live this way of life that I'm living, that, oh, excuse me, bothering this. I want to take time to enjoy sewing needle and thread. I want to take time to enjoy growing my own veg. Yes, of course, I need to make a bit of money around all those things. But just go more slowly, go more gently. My absolute number one priority is my health. And health, to be healthy, I have to prioritise good food, rest. And I don't just mean sleep, but in the afternoons I've been having a quiet hour where I don't even read. So between about 3 and 4 o'clock in the afternoon, just literally sit either on the sofa or sit back on the bed and just sit. Excuse me. And if I feel like, oh, I'm getting dozy, yeah, I can lie my head down, 40 winks, whatever. But yeah, rest and food, really, really important. When I've done those two things each day, when I've made sure that I've got good food and good rest, then on top of that I can do something else, like make a video, like sew something. But those things will come after the priorities have been attended to. And hopefully that way, I'll be grand. That's been a real long old waffle, hasn't it? And it's probably been a bit around the houses. My brain, I'm definitely on it slow. The main thing is, I feel okay. I mean, I feel a million times better than I felt even a week ago. I was still in hospital. A million times better than that. A million times better. The main thing now is just that sort of feeling of a bit of weakness, a bit of tiredness. So I have to have a proper convalescence. It's kind of old-fashioned, isn't it? Just look after myself till I'm full strength again. And even when I feel full strength again, that doesn't mean I can go full pelt again. Yeah, these are good things to put in place for myself, not just for now, but carrying on. So, yay, it's good to catch up. Like I say, sorry for giving anyone a fright. No song and dance about it. Just got a bit poorly, got fixed. I'm being fixed. I'm continuing to fix. And hopefully normal service can now be resumed, normal-ish. I might not I've always put out 3 videos a week. I've always done my sort of Tuesday, Friday, Sunday. I might not be back to 3 videos a week quite yet. Probably more like 2. But you know what? It might be 3. Never say never. We just go with the flow, hey? Go with the flow. Right, so on that note, I'm going to say cheerio for now. I'll catch up with you again soon. We've got some books to talk about, got our low spend year to talk about, and hopefully see how the weather is, but a trip to the garden, probably not to do any work, just to go and and maybe a bit of harvesting. Yeah, a bit of harvesting, that would be nice. So until one of those happens, please look after yourselves, look after each other, be well, be happy, do whatever you need to do to make sure that you are looking after yourself. Until next time, cheerio.